Today we're going to be working with fractions and trying to understand why when you subtract or add fractions, but in this example subtract, you need to find a common denominator, and that will give you the correct answer. First, we have to explain what exactly is a fraction. So fraction is a numerical representation that shows the parts of a whole. A fraction contains a top number, which is called the numerator, and a bottom number, which is called the denominator. The denominator is the number of equally sized pieces that the whole is cut into. So, for example, if you have a pizza and it has 8 slices, and you eat 1 slice, there will be 7/8 of the pizza left. So there's 7 slices of the total 8 pieces that make up the pizza. The numerator is the top number. So that's the number of pieces of the whole that we are considering. In our pizza example, that would have been the 7 slices of pizza that we have left. Now both the numerator and denominator are part of the whole. The whole of a fraction is a unit of measurement, so it could be 3/4 pizza or 5/8 of an apple. Pizza and apple are defined as the whole or the unit of measurement, and the whole is always an English word. So in this example, we'll be subtracting 3/4 minus 5/7. The word problem would be that you have 3/4 of a batch of cookies, and your brother ate 5/7 of that 3/4 batch of cookies that you had left. We want to know how much of the batch of cookies is left. Our unit, or whole, is a batch of cookies. So we can draw it out as boxes. So this represents the 3/4, and this represents the 5/7. In order to start out, you draw a box as it is, and then you split it into however many parts your denominator makes up. So for this top one, the denominator is 4, which means that our box needs to be split into 4 parts. So you can see that here. And our numerator, the 3, means that we care about, or we're considering, 3 of those 4 parts. So then we shade them in as such. That's the same thing down here with 5/7. But our next step then is to understand what that means in terms of our word problem. So the 3/4 means that this is the amount of the batch that you have, and then the 5/7 is how much your brother ate. So we're supposed to subtract these. However, you'll notice that the parts of these wholes are not the same size. In order to subtract, the sizes of the whole, sizes of pieces that make up the whole need to be the same. So, in order to make them the same, we need to find a common denominator. So we have to change the unit, or the definition of the whole, to make both fractions have the same number in the denominator. So we want the same number under here. This means that each whole will be cut into the same amount of pieces. If both fractions are a whole that have the same amount of pieces in it, each piece will be the same size, so we'll be able to subtract. To make this one able to cut it up, you can cut it into 7 parts. So you go across like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now in here, we separated each of these 3 or 4 original parts that the whole was made up. We separated them into 7 more pieces each. So in each of these sections, there's 7 parts as opposed to 1 that it began with. So now we have to redefine this whole with a new denominator. Remember, the denominator is the number of equally sized pieces that the whole is cut into. If we count all of these pieces up, we would get 28. Now to get the top number, that's the numerator, so the number of pieces that we're considering, we have to count all these little pieces that are shaded red. And if we add them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we have 21 pieces that we're considering. Now, we have 28 in the denominator now, and we need to make sure that this 5/7 is split into 28 pieces as well, so that our whole has the same number of equally sized pieces. In order to do that, we can slice this into 4. Just as we did up here, we'll count up the number of pieces that are here, and that would equal 28. And then we'd count up the number of shaded blue spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now we can bring our fractions down here to rewrite them as 21 over 28 minus 20 over 28. So now let's introduce what it really means to be subtracting. So we start with some amount and we take some amount away, and then we want to know how much is left. So we have 21 28ths, and then we're taking away 20 of those. So now, when you subtract that, you would think about only the top, because the bottom are the same. So then you do 21 minus 20, that equals 1. Because the denominators are the same, it's still over 28. You can represent this with rods and singles. So over here, 21 is equal to 2 rods and 1 singles. And you're taking away 2 rods. So if you take both of these rods away, you end up with 1 single or 1. And because there are 28 pieces that make up the whole, it's 1 over 28. Now, remember that we need a common denominator because each whole needs to be cut up into the same amount of equally sized pieces. And we found that our common denominator is 28. 28 is the smallest number that both 7 and 4 can fit into. Now, in order to show this without the drawing, we'll have to do some special multiplication. So, without the drawing, you can find a common denominator by writing out your equation. And then you multiply both the numerator and the denominator of the opposite fraction by the denominator of this one. And then you'll do the same with the denominator of this fraction. Multiply 4 times the numerator and 4 times the denominator. So then you'd rewrite this as 3 times 7 over 4 times 7 minus 4 times 5 over 4 times 7. You notice that right here, 4 times 7 equals 28, because that's the denominator in both of these. That is the denominator that they have in common. So then we can rewrite each of those as over 28. We can do this multiplication to get 21. 4 times 5 equals 20. If you have 21 pieces and take away 20 of them, you have 1 28th left. And in terms of our word problem, that means that you had 3/4 of a batch of cookies and your brother ate 5/7 of them. He ended up leaving only 1/28 of the batch left.